Due to the tragic incident of 9/11, there has been an abundance of racial profiling toward Arabs, Muslims, and many other Middle Easterners. It is unjust to judge a race for the mistakes of a few. The event that brought America to its knees, when 19 hijackers hijacked 4 airplanes, and 2 successfully attacked the Twin Towers, killing 2,985 Americans, gruesomely leaving America speechless. In 2002, immigration authorities ordered a predominantly great amount of anyone who was Muslim descent to report to their offices. They would be asked questions, fingerprinted, photographed, and given a registration number. This huge process went on to December 2002. The process scared many Muslims and anyone who was processed. An estimated amount of 14,000 out of 83,000 who registered were deported. No questions asked. Those 14,000 immigrants that left their families behind with not even a single charge of terrorism. They were deported for minor immigrant issues, but we all know that wasn't the only reason. According to experiments by the Islamic Relations, 87 million Americans were subjected to profiling against Muslims. Discrimination against Muslims increased 70% over 2002. November 24, 2006, 6 Muslims were detained on a U.S. Airways flight when the crew got really suspicious because these 6 men started praying out loud, as normal Muslims do. This shows the ignorance of many Americans that attend these airways. Muslims can't even practice their religion without being detained or questioned. I think this is just wrong. Masroor Rahman and Mohammed Sagoolu, whom held a prestigious position in the Muslim community, they were detained and questioned. They were kicked off by the pilot as well as the captain from their flight to Tennessee to North Carolina. I believe that this is unjust, that just because of the way they look, they can't even board a plane without being interrogated. January 11, 2011, Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin, security details stripped and searched several Arab foreign journalists that were invited to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Several journalists were forced off to take off their clothes, including their underwear, for as long as 20 minutes, as the security detail checked their documents. I believe that this is real wrong because, first of all, they're journalists, and they're just there to do their job. Honestly, why are they getting checked if all they want to do is report and get paid for what they want to do? This is what I believe is wrong about racial profiling. Mohammed Iqbal, Saturday, May 15th, 2010, was gruesomely evicted from his house in Long Island, New York. The FBI took him with false accusations and no evidence for an attempt to blow up the Times Square. The federal agents took 4 computers, 2 cell phones, and a journal, and his dignity, Iqbal said. They harassed me in front of my kids. He is a Pakistan immigrant. I believe that this is unjust because they do not have sufficient evidence to obtain this man. And I believe that the FBI did go through racial profiling. Because of these 19 men, Middle Easterners will never be looked at the same. They will always be viewed as terrorists and be racially profiled. Just because of the mistakes of these 19 men, a whole race should not suffer. I believe what they did was wrong. A whole race should not suffer the consequences. As you can see in this graph shown here, a great amount of anti-Islamic hate crime incidents increased. From 2001, it went up to 481. From 2002, it began to drop slowly by slowly, but look that it maintained a stable position, meaning that Islamics were still racially profiled. Wait, didn't another race attack us? Oh yeah, it happened December 7, 1941, when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. Led by Japanese military leader Yamato, they were ordered to attack our battleships and to destroy our aircraft carriers. Luckily, our aircraft were not in their carriers, but still, this attack led to the killing of 2,800 plus. I believe what the Japanese did was wrong, but what happened to those innocent Japanese Americans that lived in the United States? They were interned. About 62% of those Japanese in the internment camps were officially American citizens. We did not have the right to intern them. I understand that the Middle Easterners were not interned, but just the way that America handled the situation with the Japanese, just racial profiling them. The internment camps occupied 110,000 Japanese, either from any ancestry. 62% were American citizens. They lived in one room in barracks, 25 by 20 feet, a family of 5, with no plumbing, no cooking facilities, cramped quarters. The living style in this internment camps were horrible. They were crucial. I don't understand how any human could have survived this. I understand it wasn't like concentration camps where they killed you, but still, it was like jail. All these Japanese Americans were racially profiled and held against their will, stripped from all their belongings, and put into these camps. Everything that they worked for lost. And why? Because they all looked the same. Because you could not tell who were the spies, even if there were spies. You could not tell anything about this. America took the worst precautions, but they had to take a quick decision, and that's what Roosevelt did. He took a quick decision and interned these Japanese Americans. April 19, 1995 was a tragic day for the citizens of Oklahoma City and all of America. It was the bombing of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building, caused by 2 Caucasian terrorists, known as Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols. These men were insane. This gruesome event led to the killing of 135, including 19 children under the age of 6, and injured an estimated amount of 686 people. The damage was incredible. $652 million. Damages including 324 buildings destroyed, either in close range or adjacent to the building. Destroyed 86 cars and shattered glass of 258 nearby buildings. A similar event to the aftermath of 9/11 is when 2 Italian immigrants, known as Sacco and Vanzetti, were accused of murder and robbery in Braintree. They say that they were not accused for the crime, but accused because of their Italian backgrounds. Vanzetti says that what they use for a motive is the hatred against the people of our principles, against foreigners, and against slackers. I believe that this is a major comparison because these 2 Italians were judged for where they were from. The judge was unfair and impartial because she did not evaluate for their character, but for where they originated from. This caused them to lose the case. What many people do not realize is that people can be in the wrong place at the wrong time. But such an influence and hatred over minorities and immigrants have given a different mentality to Americans. A quote that stood out to me the most was a quote by Vanzetti himself, which is up in the following clip. Vanzetti states himself, "I would not wish to a dog or to a snake, to the most low and misfortunate creature on earth. I would not wish to any of them would I have to suffer for things that I am not guilty of. But my conviction is that I have suffered for things that I am guilty of. I am suffering because I am a radical, and indeed I am a radical. I have suffered because I was an Italian. I have suffered more for my family and for my beloved than for myself. But I am so convinced to be right that if you execute me 2 times, and if I could be reborn 2 other times, I will live again to do what you have done already." This quote stood out to me the most because his words carry strength, power, and reflects the many thoughts of those who are racially profiled. It states that they are only judged for their race and the reputation of those few who have committed the crimes from their race. Everyone is a different person. You do not represent your race, you represent your culture. And if you don't let your race influence you, then you should not be blamed for that. According to an FBI database, there were 318 terrorist attacks in the US between 1980 and 2005. This includes 209 bombings and 43 arsons. Out of all those incidents, 42% were committed by Latino groups, 24% by extreme leftist groups, 7% by Jewish extremists, 6% by Muslim extremists, and 5% by communists. This shows that not only one race goes against the United States, but every single race has gone against our nation. August 6, 2001. George Bush took a summer vacation in his ranch in Texas. As Fahrenheit 9/11 states that the FBI gave several documents to George W. Bush stating that Osama bin Laden was planning to hijack commercial airplanes to attack their nation, and George Bush didn't even read the file. So this event could have been prevented? That's a question for me to you guys.